It's time once again for the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where we sit down with today's top influencers and entrepreneurs on the rise as they share empowering stories and ninja tips to become the fuel that ignites a positive change in your life and the lives of others. Our guests don't simply coast through life. They don't let difficult situations stop them. They set big goals, keep their eyes on the prize, and they're joining us today to share insider secrets you can use right now to step into your power and live your purpose. Now here's your host, Christy Ruffino.
Are you ready to step into your greatness? Do what you need to do to ensure that the next chapter of your life, your next story, will be written your way. Well, hi, I'm Christy Ruffino, the host of this show and the creator of the Overcoming Mediocrity Project, where everyday women tap into the power of their stories to magnify their message and elevate their brand so they can enjoy a business and life of true significance. I'm happy that you're here because this show is for people like you who are on the edge of change. You're ready to rise up, overcome mediocrity, empower your thoughts, elevate your thinking, and transform your life. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's get started. Today's episode is brought to you by the Overcoming Mediocrity Project. Are you ready to share your story in a life-changing book with other success-driven women? Then, what if you could use that book to get speaking gigs, podcast interviews, and possibly a new client or two? Wouldn't that be great? Well, watch out, chicken soup. Here comes Overcoming Mediocrity. Our proven system can transform your struggle story into a powerful signature message and then as one chapter in an Amazon best-selling book. Our process is simple and economical, and it will bring a lot of eyeballs on you, your business, and your big message to the world. We welcome you to apply to join our project. Just visit us at overcomingmediocrity.org and click on the apply button at the top of the page. We'll see you soon. Well, welcome back, and I am once again excited to have you join me and let you know who is going to be our amazing expert for this episode. And if you haven't noticed by now, the guests that I brought on for these first 12 premiere episodes have all been rock stars. Not only are they, elevated in their field and they're really well known as experts at what they do, but they've all been an integral part of my business journey. And today's guest, is one of those people. Not only has Lori been able to kind of swoop in and help me at various times when I needed support with marketing or branding, a little bit of branding, and just support overall, she has been helping me launch this podcast. She has got a great system to help people launch podcasts. She has given me her wisdom, her resources. Her team has done a lot of helping me produce the show. And without her initial support and encouragement, I'd probably still trying to be figuring it out on my own. So if you are considering launching a podcast or you're considering any kind of marketing strategies for your business, take a look at what Lori has to offer. So let me tell you a little bit about who she is officially. Lori Highby has core values and is a lifelong learner. She has shared creative and strategic digital marketing, personal branding, and entrepreneur leadership lessons with people and organizations from all over. Her 20 years of experience, education, and involvement range from currently owning a digital marketing agency, Keystone Click, who, by the way, was named the 2013 recipient of the Bravo Entrepreneur Award from BizTimes Media. She also teaches undergraduate students as an adjunct professor at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and she serves on numerous boards, including the Better Business Bureau of Wisconsin. Wow, that's great. I didn't know that. And Lori has earned her bachelor's degree in business and marketing from Marian University and her MBA from Cardinal Stritch University. So let's get on with the show so you can have a chance to meet our next guest, Miss Lori Highby. Well, hello, this is Christy Ruffino, and welcome to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast. And today I have Lori Highby with me. And I've known Lori for a long time. She was actually a part of the Dynamic Professional Women's Network. We've stayed connected. We're an eWomen network together. And more importantly, she helped me put this podcast together. So if it wasn't for her, I would probably still be stumbling around in the dark, but she has really definitely given me some great guidance and support on the project. So thank you, Lori, for being here with me today and with my audience.
Oh, definitely happy to be here. Happy to support. And yeah, we've known each other for a long time. As soon as you said that, I'm like trying to think back what year was that? Many years ago.
BPWN has been around for 17 years, and you were in the Milwaukee group, like in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say we probably know each other for at least 13,
sure,
13 or so. Yeah.
Pretty long time.
Yeah. And now you have like this huge agency. It's like crazy what you've done with your business, which we're going to talk about in a little while. But what I want to talk about is your story and how you got to the place you are now, because I'm sure that there was a journey that you took. And I know, part of our podcast is really really understanding what our story is, leveraging it to connect with our audience, which I know that is going to be a huge part of what you're going to share with us on the second half of today's episode. Mm-hmm. So let our audience know how you got to be the expert you are.
Sure. Sounds great. When I was going to school, I actually was going to school for commercial art and graphic design. And I was working full time at a web development company while I was going to school, and found that those that were the sales guys, basically the marketing guys, were out doing all the fun things. They were going to golf outings and taking clients to lunch, where the designers were just sitting at their desk, day in and day out. I'm like, I don't want to be doing that. But at the same time, I was also taking a sociology course and was really fascinated by how messages and visuals can really impact a decision that someone makes. And that really comes down to marketing. So I shifted my educational direction to be in marketing, while also working full-time, as I said. So I was a very non-traditional student my entire college career. So I was at this agency for about 5 years. I was doing SEO and PPC and email marketing before those were common acronyms in the space. Yeah. And then I actually went to a traditional marketing firm where I was doing outdoor radio print for quite some time. They brought me on because they wanted to start tapping into the digital space a little bit. Yeah. But they weren't as eager as they had initially sold it. So while I learned a ton about traditional marketing and advertising, I found that my true passion was really in the digital space, because so many cool things can be done, and it's just constantly evolving. Yeah. So in 2008, I decided to start my own shop. Crazy. Right?
Wow. Crazy. So you must have just joined our community when you started.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's networking, you know, and actually I found my first 3 clients by literally blasting every single person I knew. I sent an email and a snail mail to literally everyone, family members, friends, people that I went to school with, anyone. If you were in my address book somewhere, you received a letter.
So you were doing like the shotgun approach, right?
Yeah.
Like, all over the place.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, you got to tell people you exist, right? Otherwise, it's not
great way to start. Yeah.
So, but when I did start, I was just going to do websites, because that was something that I knew a lot about. And I found that over time, someone would ask me, well, we built this site. Now, how do we get found on Google? And I would just tell them what to do because I knew how to do it. Or they'd say, Facebook's coming up, and they're like, should my business be on Facebook? And I'd say, yeah, and this is how you do it. So eventually my clients were coming back and saying, well, can you do this for me? Because they don't want to be doing it.
They don't want it, right? They don't want to be the expert in SEO. Facebook.
I don't know why it took me that long to figure that out. We can do, yes, we can do that for you. So eventually it evolved. We've evolved to become more of a strategic digital marketing agency. So it was never a smooth path. I know this podcast is very much about overcoming the challenges that we faced. And I went in and started a business because I love marketing and I'm passionate about it. When I was going to school, which I have a master's, so I did all of the businessy courses.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have paid a little bit more attention to some of those, like the financial ones or the legal ones.
You couldn't wait to get to your graphic design courses, right?
Yeah,
so,
I wanted to do the fun
business courses done. Yeah.
So yeah, understanding the financials is something that I'd say is probably one of my weakest areas. And I'm actually heading to a 2-day workshop to better myself in this. I think that's one of the things that as a professional and a leader is we continually need to be educating ourselves.
Yeah.
While also aligning ourselves with those that have the strengths that, we figured are our weaknesses, but it's still good to consistently be adding knowledge to our buckets. And in the space that we're in, digital marketing, there's new things happening all the time. There's new social channels out there. There's new tactics. So we are constantly educating ourselves. So today we are still evolving. I've got a team of 7, and as digital marketing strategists, I'd say about 50% of our work is still in the web dev area, where we're doing new websites, supporting established websites, and hosting and managing sites. And then the other 50% is more doing the marketing research, building a plan, and then the full implementation of that, which, podcasting can fall under a very powerful marketing tactic, as you are a fan of now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I told you when I first talked to you, actually, I think we've talked about podcasting since you were one of our expert talks on our masterclass.
Sure.
We did about, I think 2 years ago. I'm like, I'm going to do a podcast one of these days, but I just wanted to do it when it was right, because I think a lot of times with marketing, with all of this, we go out and just, throw stuff out there and hope something works. And if we're not doing it right, we're wasting a lot of time. We're wasting a lot of resources. We're wasting energy, and we get frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I felt that the podcast was perfectly aligned with what I'm doing. And so it made a lot of sense to me, but I think that there are times when I've done things in the past that were not in alignment. And I can't wait to hear the second half of the episode, because you're going to be talking more about strategic marketing.
Totally.
Yeah. So
definitely an area where I found is probably the most, most of my passion lies, actually, is being strategic about your actions. But I agree. I think starting a podcast is a great avenue for you right now. It may not be the best avenue for everyone, but you've done a fantastic job of letting others share their story and their voice. And podcasting is another channel to do that. So kudos to you for jumping in and making it happen.
Yeah, my clients are super excited that they'll be able to be a guest on the podcast in the future. So they're really happy about that.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So let's get back to your story. So you kind of jumped into this marketing firm. What was it like when you hired your first team member?
Yeah, I had no idea what I was doing. Here you go, do the work. Come on, I've got my things to do. You should just know what to do right away.
Right, get it out of my head. Can't you just figure it out?
Oh yeah. That's definitely another area where I invested some time to be properly trained.
Yeah.
Actually, to be properly trained first on the interviewing process. I had someone coach me on how to conduct behavioral interviewing, and that significantly changed how I do interviewing. And now our interviewing process is no different than like the sales pipeline process, where we have
Okay.
different stages, and it's a funnel. You have this big bucket of candidates, and you have different levels of activities that you're engaging with them on to see who's going to move on to that next level.
Nice.
That was a big change. But after, bringing on a couple sour grapes, you figure out like, I'm doing something wrong here.
Right, right. So through the process that you created that's unique, I'm sure, for your company,
Yes.
you are saving yourself a lot of headaches.
Yeah. And actually recently I've removed the first couple of stages of that process and have another team member doing it. So that's and a big thing is the delegation element. But
yeah.
I'm happy to share the process quickly if you want me to.
Sure.
Oh, sure. So we will post a job that's available out on a number of channels that align with our industry. And we use a platform called workable.com.
Okay.
So it acts like a sales funnel, but you set the stages basically for the different candidates that you have. Then we do a phone interview where we ask them the same 10 questions. It's a quick 10-minute call.
Okay.
But the process for them actually scheduling that interview is one of the tests. So sometimes
right.
people can't follow instructions. So
Yeah, no, I get that.
qualified yourself right away.
Yeah.
And then the next phase, based on how that phone interview went, is, I would say typically to do an in-person, but now it's via Zoom.
Yeah.
Where it's more of a deeper conversation with some additional team members. So I'm not in it at that point, but it's more making sure that the team is comfortable with the personality of that individual.
Especially probably the team members that will be working directly with that person, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. It's extremely important that we maintain a positive culture and workplace, even if it are virtual. And then I conduct the behavioral interview if they pass that stage. And then we also will do a skills assessment. So depending on what their role is, we want to make sure that they can actually do what it is that they say they can do.
Wow. So we just got some bonus information. That was great. Thanks, Lori. I know, I'm sure there are many people listening that will appreciate those simple steps because, if we don't do it right, then we end up by creating more heartache and headaches for us in our team. Yeah, culture is important. And if we have one person bringing everybody down, that's definitely not good.
Oh, yeah. And it's true. One rotten apple will spoil the bunch.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know what we're going to be talking about later after our little commercial break is how we can be more strategic in our marketing and probably just similar to hiring. I mean, we can't just go out and bring everybody in. We need to take that, big market and bring it down to really what's relevant for us. And I think that's what you're going to get into when we share some great tips after the commercial, how we can not shoot darts in the dark and actually get really focused on who we are really trying to attract, our ideal clients. Is that pretty fair, Lori, what we're going to be talking about?
Oh, yeah. I'm excited to share some great insights with the listeners and viewers.
Awesome. Well, if you don't mind hanging on just for a moment, and we'll be right back. Why spend hours networking in person and now online, only to interact without ever connecting? Who wants to be even busier when our goal is simply to get more business? Since 2003, the Dynamic Professional Women's Network, aka DPWN, has established itself as the premier network for women to grow their businesses through relationship networking. With local and global members across the nation, DPWN sisters help each other prosper through collaboration, mentorship, accountability, support, wisdom, and most importantly, referral generation. To join the DPWN team, visit dpwnglobal.com. Well, welcome back, everybody. I am here with Lori Highby, and I don't know about you, but I have my pencil ready and my paper, or actually pen. Does anybody work with pencils anymore? I don't know, except my grandkids. They definitely are all about pencils. So we are really going to dive into some great information. And if you did not hear the first half of the episode, Lori talked about how she got in this field and how she's really refined her expertise. So Lori, what you're going to be sharing today, you gave me a little sneak preview on how we can be very focused in our messaging. So then our ideal client, I mean, we don't really want to help everybody, right? We want to help the person that we can really give the best results, but we have to have our messaging on target. So then that way they know we can provide the solution for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Should I just dive in?
Sure. Yeah.
All
dive
right.
in. I'm ready.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we are huge advocates of at Keystone Click is conducting research in order to build a solid marketing plan together. And obviously in today's day and age, content is the fuel around that. But first and foremost, you need to know what it is that you're trying to achieve. So earlier today, I had a phone call with a prospective client of ours, and she wants us to run some Facebook ads with her. I'm like, great. Yeah. So what is the goal? What do you want to happen?
Right.
And she wasn't able to give me a clear answer. So how can you know what it is? How do you define success if you don't even know what it is that you're trying to achieve?
Right.
So
how can you expect your audience or the Facebook ad audience to do anything if you don't know what you want them to do?
Exactly.
Right. But
100%.
It's so logical, but when we're in the weeds, we can't see that. That's why we need somebody like you to help us with that.
Totally. You need to know what it is, where you're trying to go. What is the goal that you're trying to achieve before you can build your plan anywhere. So I always like to relate to that as like GPS. We're all very familiar with, we have our end destination, we plug it into the phone and you get a couple of route options and you may end up getting a detour, which I'd say 2020 has been a great detour for all of us this year.
Yeah.
But at the very least, and this is why I really emphasize having that plan, you've got part of the way to your goal and objective. So it's easier to follow that detour to help you achieve that goal that you have at the end of the day. Right. Or maybe you just tweak the goal slightly, but you really need to know where you are today and where you want to be. So that's the first one. The first tip that I'd like to share. And when I say, where are you today? Some of the things that you really should be looking at are your website analytics. So how much traffic is coming to your site? How are people finding you? I look at the forms on your website and see how many conversions you actually have. Take some points as far as social media followers, what type of engagement you have. The size of your email list is going to be extremely important to take a look at, as well as the open rates. Okay. And if you have videos, a good metric to look at is the time watched on your videos.
Okay. So not how many views, but how long they actually stuck on and listened.
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
So, and then just high level, looking at your content, where are you distributing your content? What is the message that's being conveyed? And then, you're just looking at those end results. So you want to know where you are today, and then where is it that you want to get to? And then that's when you build your roadmap on how it is you're going to achieve that.
Okay. Where you're at and where you want to go. Love that.
The next thing that I'd recommend, I guess tip number 2 is to really take a look at your competition. Now, I don't want you to get over too much thought into this, that you're constantly looking at them. But when you're looking at that destination that you're trying to reach, it's really good to see what competition you have out there and take a look at what they're doing. We typically recommend looking at about 3 to 5 competitors. You want to look at where are they showing up online. So what channels on social media? Are they sending out e-newsletters? Are they blogging? And what is it that they're saying? Is there a consistent message that's being conveyed? Or are they just kind of all over the place? what type of content are they publishing that people are actually engaging with? So are they posting content blindly on social media without any engagement, or is there a lot of activity based on that content? And I'd pay closer attention to the posts that have a lot of activity, because that gives you some insight into the type of content your customer likely wants to see.
Right. Right. Okay.
You also want to take a look at how are they showing up in the search engines. So when you are Googling for your offering and your competitor shows up, but you don't, that may give you some insight into what they're doing on their website and the type of content that they're creating that's helping them show up.
Okay.
You can also take a look at what kind of ads they're buying. So actually on LinkedIn and Facebook, you can type in any company's name, their page on those channels, and see what ads that they've actually been running.
Yeah. I learned that a while ago. I'm like, that is so clever, right? See
I think
what's working.
it's very smart and it's fair.
Yeah.
And there's also another tool that we recommend, which is Spyfu, spyfu.com. They have, I would say it's a freemium. So there's free level of data that you can get, but if you want all the juicy insights, you've got to pay for it. So obviously we subscribe because this is our world, but you can get enough from as a one-time user just to kind of peek at what's happening. But it'll give you some information such as where are they listed, what words are showing up for on social media or on search engines, and what words they're buying in Google Ads. That's the other really powerful element of that. So tip number 3.
Wait, so hold on. Let's just recap.
Okay.
So we want to kind of take a look at what our competitors are doing, not only to see what is working, but what is not working.
Correct.
So I know one of the things, I don't even know who originally said this, but success leaves clues. So if we go and watch what everybody's doing well, that's great. But we also have to watch what they're doing not so well at, so we can learn from that. So this is good. Good. Okay, great. And I love the Spyfu. I'll have to check that out.
So tip number 3, which you kind of alluded to a little bit when we were chatting in that first segment, is to really understand your customer. And there's an exercise that we like to do with our clients, which is to identify who your favorite customer is to work with now. Obviously one that is profitable for you, and to try to get inside their head. And you want to understand what is their biggest pain, what are their values, what's important to them.
Right.
Who is it that they're trying to impress, and why is this important? So, maybe they've got a boss that they have to keep satisfied, or they're just trying to impress their peers, or just keep their family members.
Right.
So understanding the ins and outs of that ideal customer is going to be extremely important. But at the end of the day, you really want to know what is it exactly that they want from you. So you can conduct this research on your own, or just kind of go through this exercise, thinking about it, or you can find a third party, which I find when we do this, we get a lot more information if we're speaking to our client's customer as opposed to them getting it direct.
Got it.
So a great quick story. We've got a client that we just wrapped up some customer research on their behalf. They thought the number one reason why people bought from them is because they were fast and cheap. But when we had the conversations with their customers, we found out it's because they have amazing customer service.
Okay.
And that brings ideas to the table.
Okay.
So they're thinking this whole time, we're fast and cheap. This is the way we're selling it.
Right.
That's not why their customers are buying from them.
Okay. All right. So doing market research, but maybe having a third party help you with that, so you can get better data.
Yeah. Usually a third party will open it up for that individual that's being interviewed to have more candid conversation, because they're not trying to, well, this person's doing this work for me, so I don't want to say anything negative to them.
Right.
Yeah, so that can be extremely helpful. And then you want to understand when the third party is involved, they can ask additional questions like how they found you, why do they keep buying from you, do they refer you business, why or why not? But you also want to ask some non-business questions like, hey, what social media channels are you on? Do you listen to any podcasters? Do you subscribe to any newsletters? And just better understanding what your ideal customer is doing as an individual and a human being. So the better that you can understand that customer, where they're hanging out online, what pains they have,
Right.
the better you can ultimately craft content and position it in the right spot to attract that ideal customer to you. So as you noted, understanding your competition, but also understanding your competitor, your ideal customer at the same time allows you to identify the weaknesses that your competition has, that you can position yourself in those spots and attract that right client to you right away.
Yeah. I think isn't that called blue ocean strategy, right? Kind of figuring out, you don't want to be in the red ocean with a bunch of sharks, making it crazy. You want to figure out where the holes are and how you can position yourself uniquely so you don't have all that conflict. You're able to solve the problem of your client, but in a unique way that you're not necessarily conflicting with other people competing.
Yeah. And yes, 100%. And I want to reemphasize what you just said about solving the problem. Oftentimes what I find messaging is focused on the solution.
Or the process, right?
Yep. Here's the process. Here's the solution. But think about your own Googling experiences. You're going to Google because you're trying to solve a problem. How do I do this?
Yeah.
I need to fix that. What's the best way? What are my options? This is the problem or the challenge. So your messaging, your content that you're producing on your website, off your website, should be focused on the problem because that's where people start their search process.
Yeah. And it's really, I think, important to use their words. I know we do market research with my book clients, and, it's part of the process for them to really get their messaging on point. And if they're asking questions when they're doing this market research and they're getting these same words that are popping up or same phrases or same pain points, those are words that should be used like pretty much identically in your marketing, because now you're bringing to light where they're struggling, and they're like, oh my gosh, she can help me. She gets me. She understands me. She knows what I'm struggling with, and she can, or he or she, I'm so used to saying she, they can help me.
I agree 100%. And that's why we like to do the phone interview when we're conducting this research, as opposed to just like fill out a survey online, because you capture those little nuggets and the way that someone says something, what they think it is versus what what your widget is that you're selling and how it's phrased. That's extremely important. And that makes a huge difference. And I often challenge my clients when we are having those conversations with them, because obviously they know all their industry jargon, but then I say, like, does your customer actually talk that way to you? Because
it's like,
I don't understand what you're saying. So
pretend like you're in front of a class of three third graders, right?
Yeah.
Explain it to that at that level, because we don't want anybody to think. Once they start thinking about what we're saying, we lose them, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. It goes website content, social media content. If I have to think about it, I'm hitting the back button or I'm scrolling past you. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And I think that's something that we can't do ourselves. We need to have somebody on the outside help us with our content creation or our copy, I should say, because we know our world. And for us, we're not at that third grade level. So we need to kind of dumb it down and have somebody help us with that.
Totally. Yep.
So I want to go to two things. Well, first of all, about that market research. I think there may be people listening that think, oh, I'd love to have somebody do my market research, but it's not in my budget. And what I thought of a great idea, first of all, hire your team, because they're obviously skilled at helping.
Totally.
But say there's a solopreneur, entrepreneur that doesn't have that in their budget, maybe find a power partner, somebody that you've built a good relationship with, maybe an accountability partner in your business, and swap, do it for each other and
Sure.
say, I'll do your market research and you do mine. And that's a really great way to build that relationship as well as get that data. So I kind of thought of that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I want you to
good
go
idea.
back to the ideal client, because I know we kind of breezed by that, and you are like so on point with, we've got to get inside their head. But why is that important? Why do we want to be specific on helping that? Like, I see all the time where, when I start working with a coaching client, they want to help everybody. They're like, well, I can help everybody. I don't want to narrow it down to this one area. I want to be able, because I can help them in all these areas. And I just get so frustrated, though I can relate because I was like that at a certain point. But when we try to help everybody, we in essence don't help anybody.
Yeah, there's
Right?
definitely a lot of truth to that. And I say that same thing. If you're trying to help the world and help everyone, you're helping no one, actually, unfortunately. I mean, I can build a website for anybody, right?
Right. Right.
But we very clearly state that we pursue and target the B2B industrial manufacturer.
Okay. All right.
So that
very specific.
And we've done websites for all walks of life, but when you're trying to attract a certain type of person, you need to be very clear and concise in that messaging, so that when they hear that message, what you want is someone to land on your site or see a post and go, this
Wow.
is exactly
This is
what
it.
I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you're not clearly conveying that, you're confusing them.
Yeah.
And if you're,
Or you're just
confusing them,
generic, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, yeah, they do it, but they're not really the person I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I want the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's extremely, and you can have multiple segments that you pursue, but you just have to make sure that you're clearly communicating that you work with A, B, and C type companies. You don't work with everybody.
Right.
So,
Well, you're kind of qualifying your clients, right? And so you're not wasting your time on people that you really can't help the best. But if, say, you mentioned that you help B2B clients in the industrial segment, okay, remember that. And you probably can give them better results than most other agencies out there, because you know how you can help them help their clients or attract their clients and build the best websites. But if I had a B2B business that wasn't in that segment, I could still look at you and say, oh my gosh, she is the expert at doing this. I'm not that, but she could give me the same results. So it's not excluding me. It may be excluding a solopreneur that has a small budget. I mean, there are some people that you will seclude, but if you have somebody that's similar, they're going to think, oh my gosh, she is the expert and she gets them great results. And I'm kind of like that, so she can get me great results too.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, there's a phrase that I really like, which is there's riches in the niches.
Yeah.
So the more that you niche down, the easier it is for people to realize who you do work with and who you do your best work with. I mean, there's definitely, like you, when I started, I did it for everyone. And
Jack of all trades, right? Master of none, but jack of all trades.
That there was areas that we stumbled on, and eventually you realize this isn't, why are we trying to do this? Why are we trying to do something we're not good at? Right.
Right. Well, and that being said, I'm not your ideal client because I'm not that, but you helped me with my podcast.
Absolutely.
So it's not telling people you can't help them, but you are speaking the loudest to the people that you can give the best results. Just like we're not going to go to my general doctor to have brain surgery. We're going to go to a brain surgeon.
Yep.
We want to go to the person that's going to really help us get the best results.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's 100%. I agree with that.
Yeah. Wow. Just basically the bottom line is we don't want to be shooting darts in the dark. We want to have the lights on and we want to get that bullseye, right?
Love it. You said it better than I did. Yeah. You want to have clarity in your message and you want to make it easy for the right client to find you. And when they find you, to go, this is exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Lori, this was so great. Will you come back again on a future episode?
Totally.
I'd love to have you again.
Love being on anything I can do to help you. It's so fun.
So I know you have we're doing this special 12-day promo, and I know you have a special gift for our audience. So share what that is, and also let them know how they can reach out to you.
Absolutely. So my team and I have put together this guide to profits. It's fantastic. It's got 42 ways to help build brand awareness, generate leads, and nurture those opportunities online.
Wow.
You can get it for free as a printed, very nicely bound booklet, or as a PDF. Just go to keystoneclick.com/profits.
Wow, that's great. I love that. I'm going to have to download that. Sounds like it's got lots of great information.
Oh, it does. It does.
And I think I'm going to have to help you, or get you to help me also with my website and the Google Analytics, and because I don't have any of that taken care of. My website's up there, but I've never been super strategic in how I am using keywords and making sure it's working for me. It's kind of like this fancy business card online, and that's really not what a website's for.
Oh, it can do a lot more than be a fancy business card.
Yeah, so we're going to have to continue that conversation. So
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Lori. I really appreciate everything you've done to pour into me, our community, in so many ways. And just thank you. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you too. And I'm always happy to help.
Absolutely. All right. Have a great rest of the day. So everybody, we'll see you on our next episode. Always make sure that you subscribe and review our channel, and join us on our next episode.
Thank you for listening to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where we believe that everyone can have the business and life of their dreams once they learn the art of mastering their story. Because mastering our stories is the key to everything we want in life. Our stories can either hold us back, or they can become the fuel that ignites a positive change in our life and the lives of others. We can choose. You can choose. Choose to overcome mediocrity with us. Let's achieve greatness together. To learn more, visit overcomingmediocrity.org. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast.